So, as many of you know, I decided to once again delete my Facebook account back in August with no intentions of ever returning. It's been nearly a month since I walked away, and I'm happy to report that my quality of life has greatly improved. However, I did make a promise to my friends that I wasn't going anywhere this time around. Lesson learned. I shouldn't make promises that will allow for others to jeopardize my social media experiences and interactions. To my friends listening to this, I'm sorry and I love you. You know how to get in contact with me. I'm not gone forever, at least not yet anyway. So for those of you who have actually been considering closing out your Facebook account, let me ask these questions that will hopefully trigger some thought. When you sign on to Facebook, what is the very first thing you see? Friends posting mundane content about their food, friends bragging about who they help and how they help them, friends who are constantly seeking validation and conflating their self-worth with the number of likes, loves, and shares, friends who talk about how wonderful their relationships are and how their partners are their world, although it's their 7th relationship this year alone and you wonder how many more worlds they will have before Christmas. Friends who post memes of quotes and try taking credit for things that they didn't write or dream up on their own, and then you see their other friends praise them for an idea that wasn't theirs in the first place. Hey, I've done that. But guess what? I'm not Shakespeare. And appending someone else's words of wisdom to my Facebook page didn't make me one iota smarter after I posted it than before I posted it. So have you been able to answer yes to any of those questions I've asked? If so, what are some things about it that drive you absolutely crazy? If you've ever listened to any of my Sunday video updates, I've expressly pointed out the things about social media that have annoyed me the most, and so much to the point that it became immensely burgeoning to the extreme. With this being September and Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, my biggest pet peeve of all is the way people attach themselves to advocacy for the sake of vanity and popularity. And yes, this even goes for those directly impacted by it. Sick and dying children isn't something that should ever be exploited for your own disastrous needs to be popular. If you want to be Facebook famous, then fine. Facebook fame means nothing anyway. But when you're willing to trample over other people just to get to the so-called top of the mountain that only exists in your own head, then you need to be called out for that. You need to be told how foolish and ridiculous that you're making yourself out to be. With all that being said, my new nickname for Facebook is Facade Book. Really, isn't that what Facebook actually is? A great big facade? Yeah, it is. Because for those of us who are old enough to remember life before social media, we kept actual photo albums with actual pictures. Telephones only had one use, and if you had a rotary phone, it would piss you off when you'd spin the wrong number in the dial plate and then have to hang up and start all over again. Being social meant that you'd get in the family car and actually drive to visit relatives. Today, we have Facade Book. And by golly, with Facade Book, the winners never lose and the losers never win. It's a constant in-your-face vision of a copacetic lifestyle that doesn't exist in the real world. Only on Facade Book. And the people who are continuously posting shit, trying to muscle up their lives know this too. Facade Book, just like many other social media platforms, is how we bilk one another from reality. Social media is nothing more than a highlight reel of a person's life. And do you know why that is? Because studies have shown that there's been a steady increase in people who are not only lonely, but have low self-esteem. I mean, this is shit that we can expect from teenagers. But grown adults too? Yeah, grown adults too. Are you one of those people who have actually considered leaving social media, but always end up falling back on the what ifs and I would buts? Well, let me help you out and give you some tips. First off, you're mature and wise enough to understand that social media isn't real. You are real, living in a fake environment. We're all like the dog in the backseat of a car, traveling down a country road, trying to figure out why everything around us is moving and we're not. The truth is that we are moving. It's called evolving. Social media is just neutral. We're not sitting in one place all the time, and social media is not moving in front of us. It's actually the other way around. That's the first thing you have to understand. Secondly, the people who are using social media to show off and brag about who they are and what they do every day, those are the people with the most self-esteem issues, and they're the ones constantly seeking validation and approval from others. Their friends' numbers is nothing more than fake, brittle popularity. Realistically, no one has 5,000 friends at once, let alone do they even know 5,000 people at once. If you see someone with a high friends number, please believe me when I tell you that not every friend is an actual friend. If anything, they're just fans. Any real friend will swap phone numbers and email addresses and constantly stay in touch. Friendship requires mutual communication. If we do the math and divide 5,000 by 24, we get a total of 208.333. That's 208 friends per hour, every hour, night and day, no breaks, no sleep, nothing. This would have to be a continuous cycle, which is impossible to do. With that being said, I have to ask you this question. If you never hear from someone you follow or someone that you're friends with, but you constantly give them the validation they're seeking, are you okay with being a slave to their ego? If you find yourself catering to someone's desires by constantly giving them validation and they can't return that, then you are, by rights, a slave to their ego. Stop ducking and dodging and coming up with excuses to stay on facade book. The real world isn't so bad. Only what you make of it.